frontier is defined as uncharted territory by land or ocean. Those who chart that territory tell a story. The past illustrates the blueprint for the present, how things are and how they've evolved. From land to water, we are challenged to border that new frontier, a frontier the outdoorsman knows like no other. Author Gary Lewis works his way along that edge of where discoveries, failures, and achievements have written the story of the sportsman.
Yes! Yes!
From state to state, continent to continent, the stories told create the foundation of the present, and they lay the framework for the future. Through the muzzle fire and on the stone are stories from the edge.
Water is the most important thing as far as Indians are concerned, 'cause that's life.
The past is written, the present is here, and this is Frontier Unlimited. It's a conservation imperative. Help more baby steelhead and salmon make it out of the dangerous river environment and down to the ocean. For a baby steelhead, from the moment they hatch out of the gravel, they are on the menu, and one of the most murderous predators is the merganser. That sharp-beaked gobbler of guppies, that executioner of alevins, that par pummeler, that finisher of fingerlings, that assaulter of smolts. Lewis had always wondered how many baby steelhead and salmon mergansers eat, but never thought to ask an expert until he talked to Jim Scarr, the manager at the Task River Fish Hatchery. Jim Scarr said a merganser can eat between half a pound and a pound and a half of small fish per bird per day. When fish are a size of a smolt, running 6 inches each, that is not very many, but when the eggs hatch and the fry come out of the gravel, they are very vulnerable to the bloody-beaked predator.
Probably on the left as we come around the corner is a good spot to see them. And then on the right, once the river straightens out.
Right. On a December day, Lewis, Rodney Smith, and David Johnson slid a drift boat into a river on the Oregon coast. They had fishing rods, but they were mostly for show. Their shotguns would see the most action this day because the steelhead run hadn't shown up yet, and there were very few fish in the river.
Likely on the right-hand side when we get around the end of that brush, we could be over to the left.
Part of the problem, the merganser, and part of the solution, that was them.
Yeah.
So the mergansers have turned out to be probably one of the most underrated predators for the salmon and steelhead runs on the coastal streams.
You know, it's something I've always thought about but I never really paid attention to it until I talked to Jim Scarr from the hatchery and talked to David and you. And
you start doing the math and it's just unreal.
Astounding the number of fish that they can eat.
When you look at a merganser can eat a pound of smolt a day.
And that's a lot of little baby fish.
When they just hatch, that can be up to 900 baby fish in a single day. The sea lions get so much focus of harvesting
the adult fish.
Yet the mergansers just do a decimating toll on the fry.
Yeah.
As the crew drifted down the river, what they saw instead was a flock of mallards. They paddled in towards the shore, then flushed when the boat drew close.
It's gone right underneath that tree branch there.
Nice.
One mallard fell to David Johnson's gun, and they continued the drift.
Hold on, David.
It helps to be familiar with the river that you're on to make sure you know, even though because there could be houses, even though you can't see them right here, there could be some over there.
Absolutely.
But we do, you know, if you're familiar, there's some birds ahead of us there. Get ready.
Okay, get ready. Stand up, Rod. Stand up. Stand up. Too far. Too far. Yeah. Yeah, some of these rivers have a lot of houses on them, and some of them don't. If you're drifting, maybe drifted a few times fishing, and then you'll know where you'll spot the mergansers at, or the mallards if you're hunting mallards. And there could be somebody in that house there who's sensitive to the noise, and we don't need to antagonize them over one duck.
For some reason, this river did not have as many mergansers as it had the week before. It was probably the coming storm.
Oh, this is weird. I mean, usually we see more mergansers on this river than any of the others. We never saw a single merganser.
Wow.
So,
Well, this east wind's probably got a foot down.
They pulled out and drove south to drift a different river.
Currently, we've got spring chinook that are hatching.
Okay.
That'd be coming out of the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a big food source for these birds.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is with these birds that we're hunting now, these are resident birds, and unfortunately, as they migrate down from the north, heading back to their feeding or nesting grounds down south,
Mm-hmm.
the birds that are really doing the most of the damage are the ones that arrive in the spring when we're not allowed to hunt.
So if you've got some fry, how many of those to a pound?
So when the little guys are coming out, they're about 800 fish per pound.
800 fish to the pound.
that's a ton.
Man.
And you'll see mergansers, when they really key in on fish, they are a very efficient feeding machine.
Yeah.
You will get a group of them. You'll have ones that are sentries. And what I mean by that, they're
Yeah.
looking out for dangers while the other ones are diving on the fish, and they will corral them up in little back eddies and stuff like that. And you'll
Yeah.
see them
So
dive.
it's good that we're hunting them and just keeping them moving around too, right? So they don't get to
Yeah.
Key in.
get in
Yeah.
a pack of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with a bit of luck, we're going to hit the hunting hole of the Pacific Northwest for the devil bird, the predator merganser, capable of eating up to 1 pound or 900 salmon fry in a single day.
Bam.
Think about it from a bird's perspective. Those baby steelhead are hatching out of the gravel and are tiny.
If we're floating down and we see some ducks up there, we can just act like we're fishermen or farmers. You know, they got nothing to fear from a farmer.
Definitely.
And so you just kind of like, yeah, how's that corn doing for you, Phil? And then you keep your gun down low so that the sun's not shining on it, leaning back, And then when you're close enough, then you stand up and boom.
It also helps if you have a piece of grass or weed
Yeah.
sticking out of your mouth.
Oh, fish just jumped down there.
It takes 900 of those little elevens to make 1 pound. That's a day worth of eating for a merganser. And that's a lot of fish that don't make it down to the ocean, that don't come back to the river.
Okay,
One
sit
thing
down
to
so
be
he can row.
known about going on a hunting trip with David Johnson, if you're not quick on the trigger, was a beautiful.
Hello, my dear. Yeah.
So that's a hen-hooded merganser.
He's been eating our salmon.
Guilty as charged. All right.
Think about how many times we see mergansers. Spring, summer, winter, and fall. They are there, on gravel bars, in backwaters. And think of how many times people, hunting ducks, pass up the shot on a merganser, hoping to take another mallard to fill out a limit. Perhaps in the interest of steelhead conservation, we should shoot more fish eaters. Biologist Jim Scarr thinks so. He started hunting mergansers a couple of years ago. David Johnson started hunting them about the same time. Now they pass up mallards to get more mergansers.
Don't get up until you're ready to shoot, because you'll look like. Get your gun down so it doesn't flash. No. That was beautiful, guys. I think that's a Rodney duck right there. That was beautiful.
That must be that one that's been staying ahead of us in the last
Yeah.
half hour.
Yeah, he was ahead of us on that other river too.
Yeah, exactly.
You like my net technique?
Yep.
I'm getting better at it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the trophy for the day right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
gorgeous.
beauty. They're just an underappreciated waterfowl species. A lot of people don't shoot them, and we should be. We should be shooting them.
They are a very sporting bird to hunt. They are fast flyers, and they make good shotgunning practice. And it's a fish predator we can do something about. Mergansers are usually seen in groups, often in the lower reaches of the river and usually around sandbars adjacent to gravel beds where steelhead and salmon spawn, and along the seams of the riffles.
So David's going to go upstream, try and push the ducks back down in front of us. So when they come off the water, they're going to come straight out in front of us.
A few hunters targeting mergansers can make the difference in just a short time. The merganser is an equal opportunity eater. They are not only hurting the hatchery fish, but they are hurting the wild steelhead and sea-run cutthroats and salmon too.
Good job, guys.
Or is it a golden?
When the first big rains of October hit, that's when the salmon are expected. When the salmon run is on, the people are thick. That's not the best time to hunt mergansers. It's more of a later season thing when there are fewer people.
Boom, boom, that's the big one. We're so close to town here, man. We'd have all the,
Somebody be losing a window or.
oh yeah, losing their mind. Too far, too far.
Maybe we can't do anything about other countries intercepting our fish on the high seas. Maybe we can't kill the seals and sea lions that prey on our fish. But we can hunt mergansers. Timing for the cast and blast depends on the fishery. Steelhead in the Tillamook area streams come on strong in January. Any river during duck season could be a merganser river. Try to hunt when the fishing is off, for whatever reason.
So kind of drop, open your bail, Gary, and just give it just a little, yeah, there you go.
All right, Dave, tell us what people want to do when they're fishing this technique.
Most important part is when you see your float go down, to start reeling. Get that slack picked up. You know, if you see that float go down and you just jerk, you're probably gonna miss that fish. So when you see it go down, give it at least 3 or 4 cranks. When you see that line come up tight, then give it kind of a medium hook set. And in just a second, I'm gonna have you reel in and gonna flip to the other, cast to the other side. So you can go ahead and do that.
We were hunting mergansers right here, Rodney, if I remember right.
That we were. That we were.
Yeah.
We had really good luck just downstream.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember that spot.
It's just hard to imagine that a couple days of merganser hunting and the benefits that we're going to reap from those in a couple of years with the smolt that are going to be able to get out to sea instead of being eaten.
All the steelhead fishermen I run into, they thank me now.
Yeah, exactly. The anticipation of that first bobber down is killing me.
Sometimes, you know, you get that low pressure drop, and sometimes you get a little bite on that low pressure as the storm's coming in. And so as timing goes, even though we don't want to be drenched.
But I find that barometric pressure change is what'll spark a bite.
It can.
Didn't reel first. You jerked before you reeled.
Definitely reel before you jerk.
Yes.
I just demonstrated that
What not to do.
jerking before you reel, very unsuccessful.
Think reel. Reel.
Reel first, hook set second.
Mergansers are managed with ducks in the migratory game bird regulations with a daily limit of 7 birds and 3 limits in possession. The rivers begin to swell with winter steelhead in late December, and each tide brings in new fish.
Since there's a lot of boats ahead of us, I'm taking off the bigger Yarny and egg setups and going with a smaller presentation, just because the fish have already been pounded over a little bit.
That one?
Yeah. Under the trees.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it was a rock. You're in the rocks. I was gonna say it's better to be closer to us than over in that. Now they're in the zone. Leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it.
Pick a day, put it on the calendar. Tie leaders, sharpen hooks, and pack a shotgun and steal shot.
Right here, Roddy's got one.
Awesome.
Gary, I want to put that rod back here with these.
Oh, yes.
I can't get my sticking oar out. There you go. Turn him away, his head away from that rush. You might have to put your rod tip down in the water too.
Doing good, Rod.
Save. Let him run down river. I want to see what it turns out to be if
Sure.
we're happier in a while.
Well done, man.
Yeah, go up to. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you did.
Hold this, and I'm going to take us ashore.
That's a nice one, eh, David?
Yeah, beauty.
Well, I got to be honest with you, David. When you told me to reel down and then set, that was exactly what I did wrong in that first one.
So I always cut them right here. It's just above the heart. It bleeds them out real well. And I go from the mouth in. If you cut it from out here, it'll bleed good. But then the gills kind of fall out at the end of the day when you're trying to take your photos at the end. So I always cut through right there. We just put her in there and she'll bleed out. I was afraid you're gonna run out of line.
Yeah, no,
Because the
I know,
boat was
man.
in that fast water.
It was going.
Awesome.
Let's
He's so fine. It's my first fish on a soft beat, actually.
There you go.
Chalk one up for Team Soft Beat.
Lost him.
gone.
Be in there, be in there.
Come on, baby.
That was a fish shaking its head,
I
man.
can roll back up.
told you something big was gonna happen.
Don't know. So this is a hatchery broodstock steelhead, and what that means is its parents were wild fish that were caught by anglers. So when we catch a wild steelhead, we'll keep it in a live well and take it to the fish hatchery. Then they'll milk out the sperm and the eggs, and they run a hatchery fish. And that gives us a fish that's genetically specific from this river. So we're not taking a different Alsea River fish and putting it into another river. We're taking fish from specific rivers. And the Clackamas, the Sandy, and the Halem, the Wilson, the Silettes are all that way. The adipose fin is clipped right here, which they have to be clipped to be legal. And this is a nice bright fish.
Probably in the river for 8 or 10 days.
Or less, yeah.
Yep.
And we're about 10 miles or so from the ocean.
No sea lice on it.
There's no sea lice on it, so we know it's at least been in the river 3 or 4 days, probably.
You think the Merganzer's got all the steelhead?
All but one.
Water's running off of my hat.